Hi, my name is Li Xu, and it's my great honor to present my work at this conference. I hold a master's degree in TESOL from UPenn and then taught EAP in China for 2 years. I'm currently an incoming PhD student at the University of Glasgow. Today, I'll be presenting my research proposal titled Investigating the Teacher Education Needs of Novice Chinese EAP Teachers. To provide some background, over the past few years, the number of EMI universities in China has increased rapidly in the pursuit of internationalization. For example, several Sino-foreign cooperative universities have been established since 2004, where EMI and EAP are implemented. But actually, for many years, the mainstream English curriculum in Chinese universities has been focused on general English, with an emphasis on passing the college English test. However, this has resulted in a lack of emphasis on English output, namely speaking and writing, particularly in academic contexts. Well, promoting general English has been a choice based on the national situation, as regional disparities in English education are significant in China, and there is a shortage of EAP teachers. But recently, there has been a heated debate around the replacement of EGP with ESP, EAP at tertiary level, not only in these international schools, but also state-owned universities. This indicates a trend of implementing EAP in China, like in Shanghai. The Ministry of Education has already encouraged some universities, like Fudan University, to offer localized EAP courses. So there is an obvious need for high-quality EAP teachers in the future, because the quality of EAP teaching largely depends on teachers. However, EAP teachers' voices and needs are often overlooked, and empirical studies are scarce. In fact, EAP teachers call for teacher training programs and continuing support concerning their difficulties in actual teaching. A common challenge is the transition from teaching general English to EAP, ESP, which involves acquiring knowledge of other disciplines, developing EAP-related knowledge, and informal learning. Another major issue is the lack of appropriate teaching materials. Current commercial EAP textbooks cannot adapt to the complex teaching contexts, which often require EAP teachers to select, adapt, and even design materials themselves. And Chinese EAP teachers even face additional difficulties due to tensions between Eastern and Western pedagogies and knowledge construction, as well as potential identity issues, because they may have lower status compared to colleagues of other disciplines in the tertiary sector. So based on my teaching experience and the current research, there is a huge research gap in EAP teacher education, especially in the Chinese context. So this research aims to fill this gap. And to be specific, there are 3 research aims. First, to explore novice Chinese EAP teachers' perceptions of current teacher education. Second, to compare and contrast the needs of novice Chinese EAP teachers in Sino-foreign cooperative universities and those in state-owned universities with regards to teacher education. And third, to identify the implications for the design of future EAP teacher education programs in China based on novice Chinese EAP teachers' perceptions and needs. Next, I will share some findings from previous research in ESP EAP teacher education, which mainly adopts two patterns: theory into practice or practice into theory. Theory into practice pattern is quite conventional. Usually, teachers would learn basic theories and essential teaching skills before actual teaching. For example, in the US, Master once advocated for an ESP track in MA TESOL programs, where students would learn ESP related knowledge and skills in addition to general TESOL training. And more recently, the University of Auckland offers an elective course in ESP to enhance students' theoretical knowledge in this field. Another pattern is practice into theory, but empirical studies are rather rare. I found Jackson's framework quite interesting. He suggested discussing problematic ESP teaching situations in class, which can enhance teachers' problem-solving skills. And there is another self-training model which emphasized the effectiveness of action research. So these are the two major patterns in ESP teacher education. But most studies on EAP teacher education still focus on the Western context, which may not be suitable for China. We face larger class sizes, a different academic culture, and mixed level students. So we need our own EAP teacher training programs. And to design such programs, we can refer to some general frameworks, such as Balip's competency framework for EAP teachers and Bruce knowledge-based theory. For example, this is the framework from Balip, which divides EAP teachers' competencies into 4 sections: academic, practice, EAP students, curriculum development, and program implementation. So future EAP teacher education can refer to such a general model to design appropriate training programs in a more specific context. Next is my research design. The research will be held in East China because universities carrying out EAP teaching usually gather in this rich area. 2 Sino-foreign cooperative universities adopting Western EAP practices, and 2 state-owned universities adopting localized EAP teaching will be selected, since they represent 2 major patterns of EAP education in China. Then it's more likely to broaden the applicability of research findings. Then about participants, 20 novice Chinese EAP teachers will participate in the study, and 5 from each university. Data will be collected throughout 1 semester, but if possible, it's better to conduct longitudinal research. And the study will adopt a mixed methods to collect both qualitative and quantitative data. Borg's framework in language teacher cognition research will be used to guide data collection strategies, which are classified into 4 groups: self-report instruments, verbal commentaries, observation, and reflective writing. Specifically, the study will use questionnaires, semi-structured interviews, unstructured observation, and journaling to collect data simultaneously. Now, I'd like to introduce each data collection tool. First, at the beginning and end of the semester, all participants will complete a questionnaire evaluating their self-reported EAP teaching competencies and satisfaction with current teacher education. Then the changes will reflect teachers' perceptions of professional development activities. Next, about semi-structured interviews. There will be 2 forms. One-on-one interviews will be used to gather individual information and the teacher education needs. So there will be 3 interviews, an ice-breaking interview, a focused interview, where researchers can raise relevant questions about teacher education, and a follow-up interview for further discussion. So these will concern participants' individual experiences. Then focus group interviews will be held monthly to discuss critical topics of EAP teacher education. Compared with one-on-one interview, this form can generate important findings because it allows for group discussion and shared experience. And regarding observation, once a month, the researcher will observe participants' classrooms and complete the observation form, including the evaluation of their EAP teaching competencies. The observation will provide valuable data for the research because it gives evidence of what happens in classrooms. It provides direct and relatively objective information. So researchers can find teachers' needs in actual teaching from a third-person perspective. Participants are also asked to write teaching journals. These are short, reflective comments after each class. This tool will be useful to reflect the teacher's cognitive process on various aspects of EAP teaching and teacher education. Finally, data will be reorganized to create individual portfolios to illustrate each participant's perception of current teacher education and their needs in professional development. Comparisons and contrasts will also be made between the 2 types of universities. Overall, that's how I will collect data for this study. And these are the expected results. It is expected that many novice EAP teachers would express a strong desire for teacher education and professional development activities. And the study is likely to review variations in teacher training programs across different universities. For example, the training model and emphasis on professional development can be very different in these schools. And it's possible that EAP teachers from state-owned universities may encounter more challenges. For example, students are more likely to expect a traditional teacher-dominated approach to learning. I will use rigorous data collection and analysis to confirm or refute these expected results. And I expect to explore more insightful findings. Finally, about research implications and limitations. The current study aims to contribute to the emerging field of ESP/EAP literature by addressing gaps in understanding novice Chinese EAP teachers' needs for teacher education. And to address this gap, a range of methods will be used to depict EAP teachers holistically. And suggestions made in this paper could also inform the structure and topics in future EAP teacher education programs, which aligns well with the revolutionary direction of promoting EAP in China. And these recommendations may also have implications for other comparable contexts, like Vietnam. Um, However, it's important to note that the size and scope of this study are limited because the selected universities are among the key universities or expensive universities in China, and their high quality teachers, students, and hardware may not be representative of other schools. And despite these limitations, the study can serve as a useful reference for future research in this area. This brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you for your listening.